Hey guys, what's up? Pyrodox here. Welcome to the walkthrough video of my new track Poison with Claire Sophie out now on Mixmash Records. Let's dive right into the video. We're going to do some synth design, some bass line design, some vocal processing, some arrangement, and how the overall track is set up. And if you have any questions or comments, just leave them down here or send me a direct message on Instagram. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's go! So let's dive into the project. As you see, this is the project file. It's not too big, but also not very small. At first, let's check out the certain sections that we're going to address in this video. So this is the rendered version, the final master.
I feel the punches like my bones are breaking. Already had me on the ground. I had a hunch I couldn't trust you, baby. But we've come too far to give up now. So if I'm hurting, I push it down with my pride. I just want us to love again. Bruise the ceiling time, I'ma try to carry out. But there's something different. You poison the water. I wish I could believe everything you said. You poison the water. I know your promises are contaminated. Poison the water.
So that's the part I wanna talk about today. So the intro, first verse, build up and drop section. So let's start off with the beginning. The first mood that you hear. It is a chord preset I made in Serum. It's basically just a sine wave with some low pass, some drive and some vibrato in the patch itself. Then some compression and some stereo imaging. And then for the effects we have some Valhalla room. Not too much, and I've used the same decay on all the pads and break stuff. So it's getting a room feel, like it's in the same space as the other instruments. Then some glue compression to mix it all together. Sometimes it goes on, it's not too extreme, it's subtle and it takes just the tops off and just makes it feel like a full sounding instrument. Then we have the isotope vinyl to give it some warp depth and just the wobble effect around the pitch, and it's just making it sound a little bit more retro. Some depth is added and some warmer feel. And there is an LFO tool, which is my sidechain, basically for everything. So a cool trick here is that if you make a shape right here in the end, that it goes down just before the kick is hitting again, you're always sure that there will be no clicking artifacts of the sidechain. Because if you just would make a straight line and then a straight cut, it will always get some clicky sounds. Some of you probably have experienced it, but this is a way to fix that and make sure you always have a clean sidechain curve. So just you can draw this one to your own LFO tool. That's the processing for this chord. Then we have a vinyl effect. Sounds like this. And as you hear, there's it's not dry. It's been affected by an echo boy, an equalizer, and a dimension expander. Dry, it sounds like this. A little bit harsh. That's why I've put an equalizer on to get rid of some lows and some high frequencies. Then there is a echo boy, which is there's a chorus tank delay effect that I've put on, taken the mix a little bit down and made the notes longer, so it's every note, 1/4 of a note, it's bouncing. And then there's some dimension expander, and it sounds like this with the effects. I hope you guys can hear it. And then with some impacts, it's an effect which I've pitched to the key of the track, so it matches really nice. So that's the first section.
I feel the punches like my bones are breaking.
And then the vocal is introduced. Without any effects, it sounds like this.
I feel the punches like my bones are breaking.
Clara Sophie, the vocalist of this track, already put some reverb on it, but I processed it anyways, not too heavily, but some effects. And I've pitched it down because the original was in a higher key. Sounds like this.
I feel the punches like my bones are breaking. Oh.
But the first demo I made was in a higher key, so she wrote in this one. But later on I decided it was too high for the drop to hit really hard. It was like an A or something, I think. And I've brought it down. So the vocal had to be shifted too. And it sounded really nice. It's more darker, a little bit more moody. And just a cool effect in my opinion. Then, oh, excuse me. For the processing, we have some Echo Boy. Studio Ping Pong always works to get your vocals on point. There's some equalizing to get rid of some nasty mids and a little bit boost around the highs. Then there is a glue compressor, which is a preset. It's under vocal lead and then slant. And you can just play around with the thresholds and see where it needs the compression and when it doesn't. Then there is a Valhalla shimmer for some really bright reverb effect. Definitely put this on vocals and on pads and weird plugs. It's really making it a different sound. So just experiment with that one. Then there is a FabFilter Pro multiband, which I use for de-essing in the higher frequencies, just because it's a little bit more controlled than a regular de-esser, I think, and it's ducking the mid-bass frequencies of the vocal, so it's not overly bassy, and it works like this.
I feel the punches like my bones are breaking. Already had me on the ground.
Really useful. Use it on any vocal, so definitely get this. Then there is a LFO tool with my sidechain again, because at the drop there's the vocal still going, and I want to instantly hit with the sidechain, so it's for the bounce effect basically. So that's also a cool trick to automate the wetness of the sidechain. Then there is another equalizer which I'm not using, and a final equalizer just to make sure there's no unnecessary low. And that's it for the vocal. And it sounds like this.
Punches like my bones are breaking. Already had me on the ground.
And then we go to the second part of the verse. Let me put off the plugins. There's this one. It's a woody type of plug I've made in Serum, but I had to consolidate it because it was quite heavy on the CPU. This is what it sounds like from the patch itself. It are a few oscillators with, I think these are just yeah, they're stuck in Serum, so you can just get them yourself. Some detune to make it wider, and the envelope is the most important on this one because that makes the plug sound. So make sure your curve is like this. Then some low pass 12 filtering, some tube, some delay, reverb, and equalizing. This basic stuff, but the delay isn't even on, but it's optional. Then down here, pattern 38, we have a Reese bass. I love Reese basses, really dirty. And that one is basically how you make a Reese bass. Is you get a saw wave, put up your voices, your unison, and then you put a low pass filter on it, and you're there. That's basically a Reese bass. You can also add some sub layering, some Reese mesh. I've used it in the B oscillator just to make it a little bit more gritty. And then just add some distortion, some subtle equalizing, and some more equalizing even. Oh shit, this is a heavy equalizer. Probably needed some volume boosting. But yeah, this is the equalizer, just to get rid of some mids. Noisia uses that technique too, I think, just to make a dip in the middle of the equalizer, which you don't really need those frequencies. It gets a real nice full sounding without those frequencies. So just get rid of what you can miss, because it saves up for a really big difference in the headroom in the end. There's another sidechain. Then we have this one, which is the keys from the beginning. Yeah, basically sine wave again with low pass, some vibration on the pitch, and these effects again. And down here, a really warm chord sound with some analog wavetables. Not really much processed, but just some warble effect. So it's gliding over the notes. Some French low pass, I think it is. Some tube distortion, chorus, reverb, and high pass filtering to get rid of some bass. And it's also linked to the mixer channel 11, just as the other chords, and it sounds like this. And then combined with this one, it sounds like this. Excuse me. So the plug is really accentuating the beginning of every chord, because it's hitting, and also gives it a bit more drive than just the pads. So that's why I did that. And then there are some down filters, impacts pitch to key, of course, some reversed impact, some tension. Also, a small tip is, if you use samples from libraries or effects, don't use the original key of it if you want to be original, because everybody is using the Kashmir samples, of course, but it's more of my own when I pitch it down to the key of my track, and use some other stretch methods and maybe some processing, just make it your own, and not just put it in and don't tweak anything. Then we have our claps, panned a few percent to the right, just to clear out the mix in the middle. Then we have a reversed clap to fill it up, and there is also a little bit of room verb on it and some tube warmth, just to give it a little bit more of a snap, and some compression and equalizing. Compression setting is default, just tweak it a little bit, and some equalizing. And then we go into the build-up section, but first let me show you how this sounds from here. Let me turn off the plugins. And with the vocal, that's with the vocal. And then we go to the build-up section, which introduces the drop melody in the filter with only the mid bass and the lead sounds, with a snare build-up. So let me first show you the drums. That's the drums. Be sure to use your effects wisely. Don't just slam on uplifters and down filters and anything like that too much. Just pick a few ones that are super good and in key with your track, and just tweak those and level those to the effect you want. But if you layer too much uplifters and effects and risers, you will get a messy build-up and very loud one, so your drop won't hit as hard. So I like to just keep like 2 uplifters, 2 down filters, and some tension and effects. That's basically it. And then the snare build-up is in the filter, of course, a little bit sped up here, just before it's going to hit at the drop. And then we have our fill. Not too big on the drums on this fill, but more on the laser type of effects. So we have this one with some ping pong delay, this one to introduce it, and some reverse claps and a percussion. But placed at the right steps, it sounds like this. So that are the drums, and then I want to quickly address the synthesizers I've used for the drop. My CPU is really letting me down today, probably because there is a recording program running at the background. But yeah, let me see. So we have driven like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different serums playing at the same time. Let me first show you the bass line. Not in the filter, of course. So the first one is off. I've used it probably for some experimenting. This is the main one. It's the bass I've used in the collab with Lebig Luke too, but it's tweaked a little bit. And yeah, it's my signature bass. So frequency modulation from Oscillator B. At first it had some distortion comb filtering going on, but I've taken that off. Then there is this, and that's affecting the pitch attack. So it's the see it as a plug. Like if a pitch comes down really quick, like this curve, it will give a clicky sound, and that's also what's happening here. It's like the pump of it. If it's gone, it will be just a regular curve. Then there's distortion, a little bit of room reverb on a mid bass that's possible, some compression and equalizing, and then there's some OTT and equalizing, and of course linked to my sidechain channel. Then layered with a basic sub, which is just a sine wave. And then we have my synth here, which sounds like this. That's the synth. It is a basic mini shape, which is in Serum. Just detuned a little bit. First I used the sync option, but later on I've taken it off again. Was too bit of high frequency mess. Some low pass filtering connected to the envelope, which is a little bit of attack, so it doesn't have the clicky punch sound of a normal plug, but just a little bit more smoother. Some noise automated also with envelope 1, and there is some hyperdimension and some stereo imaging, some chorus and a multi-band compressor. Then the post-processing on this one is really important. Without, it sounds like this. And with, it sounds like this. Big difference. So we have a Camel Crusher for distortion. I've used the tube warmth preset and put up the tube effect, and I've put on some fat mode compression. Then there's an OTT, which is at 71 depth for some more punch. Then there's a dimension expander, room reverb with a very short decay. Then there is a Echo Boy for some chorus effect to make it a little bit more touchable. And then there's an automated Valhalla room with a long decay, which is automated by this automation to give it that pump effect. And then there is an equalizer taking off the low end, and there is a equalizer that I use for a filter. And then in the end there is a glue compressor which glues everything together synth-wise, and then it's routed down here to the sidechain. So that's basically synth layer 1, and then there is also synth layer 2. Let me turn these off. It's a variation with a little bit more of a messy wavetable with German low pass and the same type of envelope style, just with a longer hold. I mean, it's a longer decay. That's cleaner, less detuned and less distorted, because I've taken that off just to keep it clean. And then in combination with the dirty one we just checked out, it's a combination and a overall full sounding lead. So yeah, that's the bass and synth combined. And then to give it a more of a touchable feel, I automated the pitch of the lead just to go down here. So that's basically how the drop is put up. It's not too complicated, but if you use the right elements, automate the right elements, and get a good melody, then you're perfectly set. Then here there is a noise also, by the way. There's a nice trick to to automate this one, and you get a curve like this by clicking right click and put it on wave. Then you can scroll like this and it gives you a wave. And that's basically the drop. And there is of course some variation in pitch, in which notes I've picked. But other than that, that's basically it. And a lot of reverb automation and pitch automation and stuff like that. And of course the vocal is helping here too, just to give it a more of a bouncy feel. And that's basically the drop. If you have any questions, as I said in the beginning, just let me know in the comments or send me a direct message on Instagram and I will gladly explain it to you. Yeah, the only difference in the break is this. Here I chose to just make a plug very reverby and just take the bass notes and made it harmonized with the vocal. So that's the variation, and then it goes back into the main theme. So that's my walkthrough of Poison featuring Clara Sophie. I hope you liked it. It was quick. It was much info, but I hope you guys can use some of these some tips. And thanks for watching, and I see you guys later. Bye bye.